Also mentioned to me earlier that you get a lot of calls about different treatments, people calling saying, can I get this vaccine or this medication? And is it related to an abortion derived cell line? Can you talk a little bit about the kind of questions that come up in that area and how you respond?
Right. Yeah. I mean, certainly during COVID, there was a huge amount of questions about the vaccines and the sad fact that all the ones that were available in the United States had some connection to the abortion-derived cell lines, either in the production phase or in the testing phase. And of course, that problem is much wider than vaccines. So it goes into a lot of different medications. It goes into a lot of different procedures, et cetera, that are being proposed. And so people have been, I think, awakened to the fact that there are some ethical issues out there. And, I just had a bishop call, and he was saying, which one of the shingles vaccines has no connection to the abortion-derived cell lines? And it's the Shingrix vaccine that's available. And it's great. It's a wonderful vaccine. It's actually much better in terms of efficacy than the previous one that Merck had put out. This is from GlaxoSmithKline, the Shingrix, and it's wonderful. But again, you need to know that you should specifically request the one that has no connection with the abortion-derived cell lines. So we get those kind of questions that come in. And then a lot of different, monoclonal antibodies, and different procedures that are out there that didn't kind of have embryo connections to them, et cetera, that these kind of questions do arise. And people are concerned as are the drugs that I'm being given, somehow tainted ethically? And should I be looking for alternatives? Because generally speaking, there are alternatives, but you have to either do the research yourself or reach out to other institutions to find out. And so we get called in for some of those questions, definitely. And it's important, right? Also to put pressure on the vaccine companies and the pharmaceutical companies, let them know that the abortion-derived cell lines, which are very commonly used, have ethical problems, and therefore, people don't want them. And that they want drugs and medicines that are coming to them without any kind of connection to abortion. But I think that's a much longer-term struggle. And it's necessary to do that. And I think COVID was helpful, right? It raised the issue for a lot of people who hadn't even realized it was out there. Now, the problem had been in existence for many, many years because these abortion-derived cell lines started in the 70s. And since then, they've come into a lot of use. Mm-hmm. So they're all over the place. But I think there's a lot of progress in terms of alternatives now coming to the market because actually there is a market. The pro-life community is large and people are concerned and they're asking questions. And so these pro-life alternatives are a good thing. And I'm glad to see that they're more available.
Well, and like you said, I feel like COVID brought that all to the surface where people started talking about it because there was a new set of vaccines no one had ever heard of. It wasn't the list from your doctor of all the ones you have to get and then people go get them and they don't question it. This was okay, this is new. Can we get it? Can we not? Right. And it just brought those questions up. And then once people started asking it, they started realizing there was an issue with other vaccines as well, at least from my general experience of talking to other people.
Yeah. No, we get the question frequently about the flu vaccine, which fortunately, is not grown in any abortion-derived cell lines. It's grown, generally speaking, in chicken eggs, which is great, But again, there are other childhood vaccines that are tainted, with the abortion-derived cell lines. So it's definitely an important issue. And it's one that I think people are more aware of now than they used to be. And I hope the companies in particular are more aware. Certainly the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, first of all, they were sending letters of congratulations to GlaxoSmithKline when they, brought out the new line that had no connection, but also for withdrawing some of the bad vaccines and replacing them with better ones. That were, ethically much, much superior. So it's a good thing. I think the companies respond to some of that pressure, and there's a lot of competition. So if they can realize that the pro-life, more ethical vaccines actually have a market to them, that should kind of guide things, which is good.